Welcome back to another episode of Catherine Creative Chats podcast. Today we have the honor of having Courtney Villapando, and she is the owner of CVilla Designs. And I'm just gonna start things off with just a little intro, Courtney. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. So if you can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and your background, maybe?
Yeah, so I decided to start a career in graphic design right out of high school. So I went to college for graphic design, and then I started with freelance work for different businesses, just whatever I could get my hands on. But then after a while, I kind of started feeling a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know if I can do this. My portfolio is not good enough. So I had a pause where I didn't do a lot of design work. But then in 2015, I moved to the island of Cape Verde, a small island called Mayo. And there I started working for a marketing company from the US, and I
Wow.
was doing graphic design, and it just reignited my passion for design. So, yeah, that's how I started off.
That is amazing, Courtney. I always love hearing how people are attracted to design because I mean I love designing stuff, obviously. My husband's an artist as well. So art is like very much in our household. So I guess for you, what was it about graphic design that attracted you? Because I will tell you, my husband is not like too fond of graphic design. He's more into fine art, and he's gotten into oil painting lately. But I love graphic design, but why do you love it?
Yeah, I remember as a little girl, like the first time I started using a computer, I would get on Word and like start creating documents, and I would change the fonts and the colors and the layout. And it just kind of came natural to me. Like I just enjoyed making things look good digitally. At the time, I didn't even know what graphic design was, but
Yeah.
it just always appealed to me. I've always been a very visual person. So when I realized, wow, you can actually make a career out of this, it was like a no-brainer. I'm like, I'm sold. This is what I'm going to do.
That's so exciting. I think for me it's the typography too, because I used to do layout like for print because I worked at the newspapers with New York Times. But like it's one thing to just slap a bunch of text, like you read a newspaper column, but it's another thing when you select a certain letter, the if is it sans serif, is it serif, is it bold, is it, refined? Like there's so many
Mhm.
things, right? I'm sure a lot of clients probably look at it and like, oh, this looks nice, but why does it look nice? I don't know. But there's a lot of thought that goes into it, right?
There is for sure. Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
that's
like typography, color, layout, those have always been some of my strong points that I really enjoy doing.
that's really cool. So I'm going to get into that a little bit more because I do want to hear. I want to pick your brain a little bit about designing. But okay, so what inspired you to start your creative adventures, if you will? To start your own business. Like, what inspired you?
Yeah, so like I said, I was working for that marketing agency in Cape Verde. And then comes the pandemic.
Yay!
Yeah, so I thought this is my dream job. I love what I do. But then I got laid off because of the pandemic. The marketing agency actually shut down. So then I was trying to put the pieces together, figure out what I wanted to do next, and I knew it had to be design. I was like, I'm not settling again. I want to make sure that whatever career path I choose, it's going to be in design. So I started working for another marketing agency, and this time we were helping female-led entrepreneurs, and it was just cool. It was like it opened my brain to this whole new perspective. All these women were starting their own businesses, and they were succeeding, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. But at the same time, I was comfortable doing what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
And again, I got laid off. So the story of my life. So I was like, okay, this time I'm going to do things on my terms. I'm going to start my own business. I've seen how these women are succeeding in what they're doing. So I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to create my own business doing what I love to do.
No, that's awesome. And I respect that because the thing is when we go through something like a business low or something in our, life that could bring us down, that's when you can really make a decision, am I gonna let this, go down this one path where it just gets worse? Or am I gonna still take ownership of it and, be me? And that's good, Courtney. So it must have been so interesting to be working with female entrepreneurs. Can you tell me like something inspiring or any like, I guess any like memorable thing you could, I don't know, just share with us?
Yeah, I mean the whole experience was amazing. It was like I said, it was something completely new to me. All these women have online businesses.
Yeah,
They're confident in what they're doing, they're succeeding. So just being around that really feel that desire, and the confidence. I can do the same thing. Yeah.
that's awesome. Did they have like anything in common? Like at
Yeah.
all?
Most
What
of
did
them were business coaches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. No, and I guess it does take a pretty high level of confidence, I would say, to be a coach.
Yeah. And they were
Lead
showing
people.
up online regularly, posting. And a lot of them offered master classes and courses and things like that.
Wow, that's so interesting. So, like, how did you feel when you made your first sale or when you first, served your first clients as a business owner?
Yeah, there was definitely a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was just super excited, but also scared. Like, are they going to like what I'm putting out there? But yeah, my first official client I actually found on Instagram. It was through someone that had been following my Instagram account. And she's like, hey, this guy, he needs a logo. And I'm like, oh, I'm targeting female entrepreneurs, but I'll check it out.
Uh-huh.
So he was actually a music producer. All he wanted was a logo. I offer brand strategy. I offer, an extensive brand experience package, not just a logo. But at the time, I'm like, I'm just starting out. Let me just do his logo.
Mhm.
But I also just tried to make the experience seamless and go above and beyond.
Mhm.
So what resulted was he not only loved the designs, but he also referred me to another client who basically has been one of my best clients yet. So it was really good.
That's amazing. Congrats on that. That sounds kind of fun to be working with a music producer because that's also, I think it's creative.
It is. Yeah, I love working with all creatives. Like I said, my niche is mostly females, but hey.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, anything that gets the wheels moving makes me feel creative. I enjoy doing.
That's awesome. Okay, so I know you mentioned branding. What other services do you like to, feature or do you like to do for clients?
Mhm. So with the branding experience, we start with strategy. So we'll do a brand discovery session where we really just dive deep into what makes their brand what it is. What's their why, who are their target audience, and we just dive deep into that because without a strategy, the visuals just they'll fall flat. So we make sure that the strategy is strong and then we go in and create the logo, color palette, typography, just to make sure that their brand is going to be cohesive on all touch points. And I also offer web design to go right in with that. So once you have that, brand identity, then it can be used for everything else, your social media presence, your website, marketing material. So yeah.
That's really cool. And I think like because we're in a digital age, like I mean, okay, I know back in the old days, maybe like I don't know, a few decades ago, it's all about like business cards and in person. But I think now we have clients from like across the country, different countries even. So yeah, definitely a website would be super important. So
Yeah.
I can see like what you do could really impact somebody's business. Does that like make you excited sometimes to even think about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Your website is really like your online presence. It can sell while you sleep. So it's
Yeah.
important that when people go to your website, they're able to, get involved in that customer journey, see who you are. So it's a good, you want to make a good first impression. So that's one of the things that I really love doing.
Awesome. So I did check out your website earlier and I saw that, some of your clients have been featured on very prominent publications. But can you just share like just one success story with us, how you helped a client out, something that you would like to, tell us about?
Yeah, so I had a client, she was actually also a graphic designer, but she said every time she would try to create her logo, it just wasn't quite right.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, it's like Inception.
I know.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, and so she was pursuing her passion for photography rather than design. So she's like, you know what, let me work with Courtney and see what she can do. So we actually did a VIP session, which is just how we execute your brand strategy and design in one day. Um, and she was so impressed. She said when she saw the logo, she said, I was shocked. Like, she said, I didn't have words. She was just blown away with how the final result, came out. Something that she'd been trying to do for so long, we were able to just piece it together and make it exactly what she wanted. And then we pulled it all together with the brand identity board. And she said, I finally feel put together and like I have direction. So I feel like that was a really great success story for me.
That's awesome. Okay, so I think I heard you said brand identity board. Like, is that like a vision board? Like, what is that?
Yeah, so a brand identity board basically pulls all of your brand visuals into one place. So you'll have your logo, your favicon, your color palette, typography, and then we'll even pull in some different images just so you have like a full picture of what your brand should look like. And then you can take that one board and you'll know, okay, if I'm going to create a social media graphic, it should have these colors, this typography. So it just pulls everything together to keep your brand cohesive.
I'm sure that made you feel good, right? To just look back and think, I helped this person out.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I know you've been doing this for a while and you've had ups and downs, but what advice would you give somebody who's just starting out in business, having experienced it yourself?
I know. It's definitely a roller coaster ride. So I think it's important to make sure you start with intention and strategy. So you're setting yourself up for success. You don't want to just jump in without having any knowledge of what you need to do to succeed. And then you have to realize that things are going to get tough. So when they do get tough, anticipate it. And when you hit that wall, you have to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to keep going? Because if you hit a wall and you don't have a plan, you're just going to give up. So you want to make sure that no matter what comes your way, you're going to keep fighting and continue to grow your business.
I think that's why I like to connect, starting a business with our passion. Because I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but like if you didn't really care about graphic design, you probably would have like, I don't know, worked at Starbucks or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's where I'm kind of at too, because for probably the past, I don't know, 8 years or so, I've done mostly like admin stuff. I did, post on like social media accounts and stuff for clients, and I created newsletters. But besides that, a lot of my work was project management. I was an editor for a while, and yeah, just stuff that I made money, but it didn't really fulfill my creative juices. I needed to do something with design. So um, I think I guess yeah, the passion for the art that kind of helps, right? Not just making money, obviously that's a given, but if you're really passionate about what you create and how you and help people with your designs, I'm sure that really keeps you going, right? Just to
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And knowing that it's not just the design, but really the confidence that it gives your clients to show up. Because if you're going out there and you're not confident in your brand visuals, you don't like your logo, your color palette is not exactly what's attracting your clients, then you're not going to have confidence. But when your brand identity matches your core values, and your ideal client, then you can go out with confidence and you're ready to show up.
I guess going along with that, like what is a daily habit or a ritual that keeps you focused and inspired through the ups and downs?
I know. Yeah, so I try and start the day off by reading and meditating. Exercise is huge. And
Hmm.
then before I start working, I just want to make sure that I have a clear head and a plan. So I'll have a to-do list and then priorities of what needs to get done first. And that just helps me stay organized.
Yeah, that's good. And I personally work from home, so I try to sit outside amongst my plants. I just pretend like I'm in the jungle. No, I'm kidding. But it is good to take, the first moments in the day when things are still fresh, when the birds are still chirping
Mhm.
and, you're not bogged down with a million emails or, just things are running a daily, business. It's good to take time to do that. So how do you find time to you know, do things like make a list or exercise when you
Mhm.
just probably want to work 15 hours a day? Like how
I
do
know.
you make yourself say, no, I'm gonna do this for me? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, for me, like exercising is something I feel like I need to do to give me the mental capacity to be able to get my work done. And then I really do try to have a good work life balance where even though I know I have a million things to do and I want to do them now,
Yeah.
I just have to stop myself and say, okay, I have to take care of my mental health because if I don't, I'm going to go crazy. So, yeah, I think it's important to just make sure you're in the right headspace, give priority to what needs to have priority, but
Mhm.
also make sure you're scheduling time for yourself and taking care of what you need to do. Yeah.
That's really good. And I think something special about being a graphic designer is you always have to feel inspired. You know how okay, obviously we live in the age of AI. There's people just spitting out these images and yeah, they just it's very to me, I can always tell if somebody made it or if it was done with AI. But how is there anything that you do to get inspired or stay inspired? Like any artists or styles that really speak to you that you're like, I love this. This is me. I want to do more of this. Is there anything like that? Mm.
I actually get inspired by a lot of things. It can be random, like a plant or like I love
Yeah.
plants. I know you do too.
Uh-huh.
But like you're looking at just the design and the plant or the colors, and you're like, man, that would be a really nice color palette. Or I am a Pinterest addict, I admit. So
Oh, cool.
I'll scroll and if I see a style of a website or branding that I like, I have it in the back of my head. Like I really love like the clean lines or the way they laid it out or the colors. So there's a lot of different things that I do to get inspired.
Yeah. That's cool. I didn't notice on your website, your aesthetic is really modern, minimal, but there was still color, you
Mhm.
know? Is that how you would define yourself? Is that how you would describe your brand?
Yeah, for sure. I am a bit of a minimalist, but not I wouldn't call myself 100% a minimalist, but I like to keep things clean. I
Yeah.
like white space, but I do like a pop of color. I think color is really important in brand, and there is a psychology behind it. Um, and it can really make you stand out from your competitors as well. So I like using color.
That's cool. I always get inspired when I'm traveling too. I'm sure I know you've traveled. I know that you guys were in is it West Africa, right? It's inspired
Mhm.
by that. And I love how different parts of the world they just I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like you go to West Africa, for example, and they have a certain pattern or a certain way that they present themselves. And that region, is rich in that. So I was in Marrakesh late last year with my husband, and actually, you've been to Morocco, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love Morocco. I love the whole boho vibes and stuff. That's like my jam totally.
I love it too.
Um, but just the very intricate patterns, it can actually take bits and pieces from others, ideas
Mhm.
and create your own for a particular client, right? Depending on who needs what. I think that's really cool. Okay, so Pinterest is part of what helps you get inspired. And nature, it sounds like plants.
Yeah. Architecture, interior design, fashion, all these things, you see
Yeah.
it's a pop of color or the way, like you said in Morocco, like the intricate designs, things like that are really inspiring to me.
I love that you mentioned architecture because I love architecture. I remember a few years back we were in downtown LA and we saw I think it was the Walt Disney Concert Hall. It's just amazing. I'm gonna try to pop a picture up on the video if I can, but it's just awesome how the lines and it's like a sculptural effect. And obviously, it's 3D because it's a building, so the reflecting of light, against it or not, like it really speaks to the design language. And yeah, that's really cool to bring that into your design too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got one more for you. What legacy or impact do you hope to leave through your business? CVilla Designs.
So my mission really is just empowering fearless female founders with strategic branding and design. And then one thing that's really important to me is I want people to feel represented. I
Mhm.
know as a minority growing up, a lot of the designs I would see, nobody looked like me. So for me, it's really important for people to feel represented in their brand. And so they're able to connect with their communities and create their own legacies. So when you work with me, you don't just get a designer, you get a creative partner who's going to champion your business and make sure that you have that premium experience that'll have clients raving about your business.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome. So like I know that you're trying to, speak to the female entrepreneurs, right? And I'm sure some of them are going to be listening and maybe they don't feel fearless. Maybe they feel like they do have something of value, but it's very human to feel fear and doubt as much as we hate to admit it. I know I hate to admit it.
Mhm.
I know what I'm capable of, but at the same time, I also know what's out there. So it can be very intimidating. What would you say to those women entrepreneurs who are just starting out and they have something,
Mhm.
but something is holding them back? Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say that you are enough. What you have to offer is exactly what somebody needs out there. You may not have found them yet, but somebody needs what you're offering. And the reason I like that expression, fearless females, because fear can be so paralyzing. Like you said, it kind of stops you in your tracks and you feel like you can't achieve your goals. But when you have that confidence, you're able to just move forward and what you're doing is going to make an impact on somebody's life. So keep going, keep showing up, and don't let imposter syndrome creep in.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That was very encouraging. So for our listeners, if anybody wants to find you online, can you tell us how to find you, your website or your Instagram? Can you let us know?
Yeah, so you can find my website at cvilladesign.com. And then I'm on Instagram at cvilladesign. So come check me out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your insights and your story. We love hearing about how through the ups and downs, you're still here and you're fearless and you're awesome. And we really appreciate you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.